So I'm a little sick right now. I have a cold and allergy, so my voice is gonna be a little cracky. But since I'm home alone, I decided to make a video on how I overcame my panic attacks, my anxiety. Keep in mind that I still get some of the symptoms, sensation every few weeks, every few months or so. But a lot of the symptom sensation that I used to get daily, I haven't had. So I'm not 100% better, but I am a lot better than I was compared to this time last year. It almost been 3 years since I started experiencing my first panic attack. Keep in mind, I never knew anything about anxiety. I never knew anything about panic attacks. I never knew people had fear of leaving the house till it happened to myself. My first panic attack happened when I was in my car. I just put my car in park and I just got out. I was getting ready to go out and walk into a Target store with my daughter. That's when it happened. You know, I just started feeling I was gonna die, so I just told my daughter, "You go ahead and go inside the store." 'Cause I didn't want her to see what was happening. Cause I didn't know what's happening to myself. So she had a concerned look, but at the same time, I didn't want her to like see what was going on. But I was in the car, freaking out. I was avoiding eye contact with people walking by. Some people were looking at me. They were probably like, "Is he okay?" Whatever. But it lasted about 20, 25 minutes or so. I wasn't dizzy or anything, but I just had that detached feeling, like I knew where I was, but at the same time, I was confused. I was lost. I was looking at people, but at the same time, I felt like I was at a drive-through movie watching a movie. Everything felt like I was watching the movie. At the same time, it felt real. So my mind was like, "Oh my God, what's happening?" My heart started pounding. I started sweating. Couldn't sit still. I couldn't do anything. My body was just like filled with energy, and I feel like I had to release that energy somehow. About 20, 25 minutes later, I finally slowly calmed down, and then I drove off. I felt fine. Then went to the mall with my daughter. Bam! I got hit with another panic attack. This time I was inside the store. And then I freaked out. I told my daughter we can get out of here. The mall was packed, but I'm fine around a lot of people. I don't have social anxiety, and I've been to the mall when it's packed, hundreds of thousands of times. So, like this time was different. I stood still. I slowly felt dizzy. I slowly felt everything was like not really spinning like vertical, but everything felt like it was kind of like waving, like leaning and stuff like that. Like when you go to a fun house, you look at those mirrors that like makes you have a different body shape or everything looks wavy, things like that. And then I start freaking out. I told my daughter let's go, and I start running. She start following me, and everybody looked like they were walking so slow. Everything, even no matter how fast I was moving, it felt like wasn't moving at all. I I felt like I was looking at people, but I had no connection to them. And so I sat down on the middle of the floor in the mall, and then people were just looking at me, and I just put my head down, and then I was like, "Oh my God, what's going on?" And I told my daughter, "Let's get out of here." And I start running. She started following me, and I the mall was closing in like 45 minutes or something, so everyone was like in line. So people were just standing around, and I was getting frustrated because people were in the way. And I was like, "Oh, I need to get out here. I need to get out here." So finally got out there. I walked to my car, sat down for a little bit, catch my breath, and I was having a hard time breathing, and all this stuff. But and then it just got worse from that point on, and then I started experiencing panic attacks at home. Taking a shower, I got dizzy, like the floor underneath was moving, and it felt like there was an earthquake. Even when I was laying down with my eyes closed, I experienced vertigo. I feel like I was just like rolling around. So I had to go put two body pillows, one on my left, one on my right, just so it feel like I wasn't moving. And when I opened my eyes, I didn't feel that vertigo, but I feel like everything was leaning over a little bit, and it freaked me out so much that um I had to ask my daughter to stay in the room with me, like, 2 3 times a day for 15 to 30 minutes, just to so I have someone to talk to when my ex was at work, and things like that. So after that, started having more panic attacks. I started getting them at work. That's when I started experiencing vertigo with my eyes open at work, and everything was spinning. I went home from work, and then the next day I went back to work. Um, that detached feeling got worse. I, I felt like I knew where I was at work. I knew what I was doing. But I felt like I had no connection to people. I felt like it was my first day at work, but I knew everyone's name, so my mind was like, "Oh my God, what was going on?" Um, I emailed HR, told them I need to take a couple of days off. Came back, only got worse, so I told them, I might need to take the month off. They said, "Go ahead and take the month off." Keep in mind, I was working where I used to work for 7 8 years, so and when I went back to work after a month, I was like, "Oh my God, I was only there for maybe an hour or something, and I couldn't handle it." I told them I had to quit because there's no point of me being at work if I can't do anything. And when I quit my job, I started experiencing more panic attacks. I started having more phobias. Started having social anxiety. I couldn't even go to my backyard. There was times I couldn't even get off my own bed. Every time I got near my door handle to open the door, I would start shaking. I would start getting all the symptoms that I feel, like the dizziness, the upset stomach, anything that I was scared of. Not all the symptoms bother me. Some of them were freak me out more than others, and that's when I that's when I slowly knew that I'm not gonna live like the normal life I used to live. So, I started avoiding opening the curtains in my window, because I was sensitive to lights. I was sensitive to noise. I had to sleep with my headphones on, so to block out as much noise as I can. I was sleeping with a beanie on in the middle of spring and summer, in the 90s to low 100 degrees, to block the sunlight, because when I was getting migraines, the noise would bother me. The bright light would bother me. I couldn't even turn the lamp in my room. Couldn't even watch TV. If I did watch TV, I would turn the volume really low. I was even getting panic attacks watching TV. I couldn't even use my computer for a couple of months because when I had my panic attack at work, I was checking my work email, so that brought me back to having panic attacks. So when you have panic attacks, you avoid those places that you go. So let's say you had your panic attack at work, you start avoiding going to work as much as you can. You have it at school, you don't want to go to school. You have it at the street, you don't want to go to that street. You have it at the store, you don't want to go to that store. You have it because when you were talking to a family, to a friend, a coworker, or whatever, you start avoiding that too. You know, that's how I was. I avoid going out. I avoided everything that made me panic, and I didn't know why. So I taught myself to be scared of every little thing. Um, if something drop, it spooks me. Before people go up behind me and they try to scare me, I wouldn't even get scared. I wouldn't even like jump. Right, and then once I started having panic attacks, every little thing bothered me. People yelling. I start thinking they're yelling at me, and it could be someone living across the street yelling, things like that. And it stopped bothering me, and it made it so bad that even when someone called me, someone text me, I can't even pick up the phone. I can't talk to anyone. Anytime I went to the bathroom, I freak out because I had my panic attack in the bathroom. You know, things like that. even while talking to my own family, I wouldn't like feel like I had no connection to them. I knew who they were, but at the same time, they felt like strangers to me. And I remember one time, um, the the guy from the satellite came to install our satellite, and I couldn't even talk to him when he asked me a question. I was just like, I was shaking and things like that, and I was a nervous wreck. And when he finally left, my heart slowly stopped pounding, and I was like, oh my god, But as far as how I got over my anxiety is if you can teach yourself how to be scared of your symptoms, if you can focus on your symptoms, you should be able to focus on other things. For example, when I focus on my dizziness because that was my worst symptom that bothered me the most, what did I do? I start looking at everything. I start questioning, is that moving? Am I moving? Is there an earthquake? Things like that. I would start questioning everything, and the more I did that, the worse it got. And so little by little, I told myself, I'm excited about being dizzy. So you turn your fear to excitement. You tell yourself, I like being dizzy, even though you might say, oh my God, I hate being dizzy. Why would I want to say I like being dizzy? So ask yourself, when you used to get dizzy or whatever symptoms that, migraines or whatever symptoms you get with anxiety that freaks you out the most, ask yourself, when you used to get them without having anxiety panic attacks, did you think you were gonna die? Most likely the answer was no. When I used to get dizzy, um, just from spinning on the chair, getting up too fast, I didn't think I was dying. I would say, oh, I'm dizzy, and then I just continue with my day. When I used to get migraines, I would just say, oh, I have a migraine, and just continue my day. So you have to ask yourself, what's the difference between getting them now and with anxiety? When you get them with anxiety, you think you're dying. You amplify that symptom, that sensation by 100 times. So the the more you feel them, the more you feel your worst symptom, the worse they feel. That you have to keep in mind those symptoms are there to protect you. You might say, but how is it protecting me when I'm scared of them? Ask yourself, with anxiety, you also have negative thoughts, right? That's one thing I used to get with a lot too. I used to wake up, as soon as I woke up, I would have negative thoughts, and my mind wouldn't shut up, right? So I will try to sleep as long as I can, and so what I did was I focused on my negative thoughts so much that I increased more negative thoughts. Everything was negative, negative, negative. Um, so one day I changed my thought pattern. So I told myself one negative thought was, "Oh, I'm never gonna leave the house." So what did I do? I slowly left the house. I slowly went to my backyard. Um, you might say, but that's still in your house. Yeah, but keep in mind, I couldn't leave my house. I struggle going to my backyard. So I slowly go to my backyard. I stay in my backyard 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then I slowly walk to my driveway to the front yard. Stay there 15, 20 minutes. And then one day I slowly walked away from my house to my neighbor's house, to my neighbor's house. So I stopped having negative thoughts about not being able to go outside. And then the next day I woke up, I noticed that I was getting negative thoughts about something else. The next step was, oh, I'm not going to be able to use the computer because I would start thinking about my panic attack from work. So I sat on the computer, used it for an hour, a half an hour every day. That negative thought went away. The other negative thought that bothered me was, oh, I'm not going to be able to go enjoy the sunlight because when I was going to my backyard and the front yard, I was doing it in the middle of the night. So I start sitting down, allowing the sun to shine in my face for a few minutes every day here and then slowly go to my backyard during the day with the sun in my face and stuff like that. I start walking and going to the backyard, front yard with the sun in my face, and I slowly walk farther and farther away from my house. Keep in mind, if you can't leave your house and you finally do, you panic you're gonna feel even more panic. But the farther you go away, the panic feeling might increase, but it's gonna slowly decrease the farther the farther you go and the longer you can keep up without wanting to turn back. Because you're teaching your mind that you no longer fear, you no longer need protection from your own mind. You don't need protection from the symptoms. Because the symptoms are there to protect you. Because if you feel dizzy and you're laying down, all right, you're gonna say to yourself, why would I want to get up if I'm dizzy? I'm gonna I'm gonna feel even worse, so I'm just gonna lay down. So you're teaching yourself that, oh, I'm scared of it. So by you teaching yourself that you're scared of dizziness, that dizziness feeling is going to amplify. So whenever you get up, you're going to feel even dizzier because it wants you to sit down. It's reminding you, oh, remember you're scared of being dizzy. You're scared of standing up while you're dizzy. So why are you standing up? So the longer you stand up, the longer you're going to feel dizzy because that dizziness is trying to scare you so you can go back to laying down, if that makes sense. If dizziness is not something that you're scared of, but like you'll say you're afraid of chest pain and you don't want to get off your bed because you're having really bad chest pain, same thing. You're gonna say, why would I want to get off my bed if I'm having really bad chest pain? I should just lay down in bed. Um, because I feel it even worse when I'm getting up. It's because that chest pain is there to protect you from not wanting to get up. So when you get up, you're gonna think in your mind, oh my God, I'm standing up. I'm standing up. Why am I standing up? And then chest pain gets tighter, 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 and tighter. So to overcome your anxiety, you have to do what makes do the things that you have to do that makes you panicky. Like if going for a walk gives you panic attacks, go for a walk. You might say, oh, but I'm scared of the panic attack. Why would I want to go work? Go for a walk, right? But at the same time, you're actually thinking about going for a walk. That's why you're having more panic. It's because you want to go for a walk, but yet you're scared at the same time. It's like you're splitting your own mind into I want to, but I'm scared to. It's like you're excited about going for a walk, but you fear at the same time. So it's like a 50-50 thing. So you have to fit that 50% of being scared to turn it into excited. Like, oh, I'm excited to go for a walk. I'm excited about having a migraine. So when you turn that fear into excitement, that fear will slowly leave you alone. It's like me when I start going for walks like every day, the farther and farther I got, the less and less anxiety I got. Sure, the first few months it was hell, but there was even times that I would even run back home. But when I ran back home, my heart was pounding even worse because I was making myself even scared. When you fear something, your heart starts pounding. It's like when someone scares you, your heart pounds, right? So you have to keep in mind that when you fear something, you run away from your fear, your heart is gonna start racing even more. But the less you fear something, the less you notice your heart won't be pounding because you no longer fear it. It's like when you have anxiety, you create these memories inside your head. You create these fears in your head that, oh, I'm scared to go to the street because I had a panic attack there. I was like that too. But I I keep going, and to erase those memories off my mind that I was scared of. And the more I did that, the less anxiety I felt. And when I went for the interview, for a different interview, the manager didn't show up, but at the same time, I wasn't disappointed that she didn't show up. I wasn't disappointed that I didn't get to go to the interview. I changed my mindset to at least I went for the interview. At least I went, right? And then I went for the interview for the job I had now. I went, and then within a couple of days, they told me I got the job. And, you know, I told myself, see, I feared before, but I turned that fear into excitement. And then when I got the job, I couldn't sleep. I was excited. I was like, oh my God, I'm going back to work. I didn't think I was going to go back to work, but I did, and then were there days that I would start feeling a little nervous at work? Sure, because that was the first job I worked at, that I was still having anxiety somewhat, right? Um, but at the same time, the more I show up to work, the less anxiety I felt. All right, and then, you know, sure, there was days that I called sick from work because I got really sick, but at the same time, I was like telling myself I can't wait to go back to work every day. Even though I only work 5 minutes away from my house, that 5 minutes before was was a nightmare for me. Before, when I was sitting outside my own driveway for a few minutes, I had the urge to keep running back in. I was sweating like it was still summer, and that was during the winter, right? And for me to go back to work, and for me to leave my house, for me to be able to sit down, use a computer, for me to do everything that I'm doing now, that I thought I couldn't do before, has really has really pushed my limit to tell myself, if I can overcome my anxiety, my panic attacks, and no longer get them, so can you. It doesn't matter if you have panic attacks for like a year, 2 years, 3 years, a couple of months. If you got it for a couple of days, make sure you don't let it control you. Don't let it stop you. If you had it for like a week, right, and then every day you avoid it going out, make sure you keep going out, because the more you show it that you no longer fear it, the sooner you can recover. Um, if you had it for 15 years, the recovery time is just it's gonna be the same. It's not gonna take you 15 years. It's gonna take you a couple of weeks, couple of months, couple of years. It just depending on how you work on your anxiety. You might have times where you want to give up and say, you know what, I'm never gonna live that normal life again. I was like that too, but look at me now. I'm happy. I'm leaving my house. I'm going to work. I'm doing things I want to do, doing the things I have to do, like going to work. Don't, in your mindset, don't say, but I don't want to leave my house. You want to. It's just that you program your mind to say, I don't want to, so much that that's all your mind knows. But once you program your mind that says, I want to, and then your mind's like, oh yeah, I want to. It's just the way you see things. It's like when you get that detached feeling, then you're gonna start saying, you look at your hands, you're like, oh my God, is this my hand? It's the same way. You look at your hand, say, well, yeah, that's my hand, and just move on. Just change your mindset. It might take time, but the more you do it, the more those negative thoughts will go away. Like I say, those symptoms are there to protect you. Is because you fear whatever symptom you fear the most. That those are the ones that happen the most. Those are the symptoms that protects you whenever you're trying to do something that gives you anxiety. Like, for example, if answering the phone gives you anxiety and it makes you it gives you a headache, right? Because you fear the headache, but at the same time you want to answer the phone. You're gonna answer the phone. You're gonna say, "Oh my God, my headache is even worse." It's because you fear of answering your phone. So the headache is trying to stop you from answering the phone. It's because it's protecting you from something you're telling it that you fear. But once you show it that you no longer fear it, once you show that headache or whatever symptom that you get, that you no longer fear it, you no longer need its protection, that symptom will slowly decrease. and then by slowly decreasing, it will go away, and then you can work on the next symptom and the next one and the next one. Then slowly you're gonna realize, oh my God, I no longer wake up with the symptoms. I no longer wake up with the fear. Then, then you gonna notice the negative thoughts. Everything else will go away. Anyways, that's how I overcame mine.